Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hallmark Movie Drafts, where our three guest panelists are Hallmark movie enthusiasts and Deck the Hallmark podcast double-deckers who love to rate, rank, and debate all things Hallmark movies related. And today they'll be working with and against one another to create the definitive list of the 10 best Hallmark movies featuring the multi-talented Antonio Cayonne. In fact, everyone on today's show, including Erinbeth and I, and our special guest co-host, are all card-carrying members of the Cayonne Fans Club, Antonio's fan club, and we are beyond excited that Antonio will be joining us later in the show after the final list has been drafted. He's going to chat with all of us, maybe give us his reactions to the list. Who knows where the conversation is going to lead? And with that, I'm Lynn, your host, and with me is my co-host, Erinbeth. And joining us today as a special guest co-host is someone who has drafted a few times and always brings her A game with thoughts and opinions. This is her first time as a guest co-host, though. It's none other than the double-decker Hall-Star magnet, Tracy, dialing in on her phone from Kansas Christmas Con.
Hey,
Yay!
hi everybody. I can apologize for any background noise because I'm sitting in the lobby of the convention center, but I'll try to mute myself whenever possible.
So how's it going over there, by the way?
We're having a lot of fun. I got a great picture for my Christmas card this year. Just gonna say.
Very good. Well, when you were at Bramble Fest last year, you met Antonio. So what was it like to hang with him for a couple of days in Greenville last year?
I think anybody who met him and anybody else on the panel here that met him will say the same thing. The most delightful, sweet, generous with his time, just a great guy, like super down to earth, and just like and very interested in what you had to say. So he's so great.
Awesome.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. So Erinbeth, we've talked to Antonio a couple of times through the Cayonne Fans fan club, and you actually drafted last month for the Taylor Cole draft. So how's it feel to be back in the co-host seat?
Well, much more comfortable because I know the answers to all the trivia. Makes a huge difference. And I would like to say Antonio had his hand in a couple of the questions with the trivia this time. He helped me out a little bit. But yes, I am glad to be back in the co-host seat.
Awesome. So Erinbeth, we've got some photos of some of the drinks that Deck the Hallmark podcast producer extraordinaire Erin has made. She is the official mixologist of Hallmark movie drafts. The themes are all around. Yes, Jessica is holding up one of hers. She's made some themed drinks that tie into Antonio's movies. You'll be able to see the recipes and the names on the Hallmark Movie Drafts Instagram. And they're really great. There's a non-alcoholic one as well. And both of the drinks tie into his sort of Christmas at Evergreen movies that are so wonderful. Or maybe they won't make the list, who knows? So those are good. So definitely check them out. Okay. So in the intro, I said the multi-talented Antonio Cayonne, and it's really true. He's an actor, an author, a restaurateur. It's a huge accomplishment to become a known entity in one genre like Hallmark movies on television, but Antonio's experience and talents are known well beyond the Hallmark world. He's the author of Currently Dadding. It's the book he wrote about fatherhood. His acting credits include various episodic television series and theater and stage appearances. He's a co-host with Bran on the Falling for Basketball podcast. And oh yes, then there are the restaurants that he's involved with. I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but the great news is as I said, everyone that's drafting today is an Antonio superfan, and they will remind me of anything that I've left out as we go through and play the game. So speaking of the game, everybody here has had a few months to put together their own personal top 10 list of Antonio's Hallmark movies out of the 15 that he's made as of this date. They've ranked them from 10th best to the number one favorite, and they're ready to battle it out to get as many of their own picks as possible. onto the final list, ideally in the position they have them ranked in. So let's jump right into introducing our 3 drafters. They've all met Antonio, just like Tracy, and you can see everybody's photos on the Hallmark Movie Drafts Instagram that they took with Antonio. So first up is Nicole. Nicole, this is your first time drafting with us. You met Antonio last July at Bramblefest, and since then you've formed a friendship with him. You are the one who created a really engaging Antonio Cayonne fan club page on Facebook and Instagram. It's the one whose name I keep mispronouncing. It's called Cayonne Fans. And listeners, in the show notes, you're going to be able to see a link to those socials so that you can join too. So Nicole, I'm really curious to see what your list is going to look like, what you've chosen, and whether or not you're nervous, not only because you're friends with him, but because he's going to be hearing this list as we get to the end of the show.
A little bit, yes. You say friends. I like to say friends. He may say stalker, but we'll see what he says.
I don't think he's going to say stalker. And also, you know, breaking news, Nicole, you just published a children's book. It is so fabulous. It's charming. The illustrations, you not only wrote it, you did the illustrations as well, which are just so vibrant and so charming. It's called Dexter's New Home. So super congratulations. I'm
Thank
holding
you.
my copy right here. I intend to have you sign it at Bramblefest, and I'm going to donate it to our local town library for their children's book collection. So I noticed in the dedication that you mentioned Antonio. So are there any little Antonio Easter eggs hidden throughout the book?
One of the characters is named Chester and has a slight resemblance to Antonio based off of the first character I ever saw him as, Chester Lime in the Darrow and Darrows. There is also a hidden apple that if you're a true only fan, you will understand why an apple is important. And there is an apple hidden. I will not tell you where because I would need Antonio to find it.
It's fabulous. Yes.
That is
Nicole,
awesome.
Nicole is referring to a lunch that she did, that Zoom lunch that she did with Antonio and all of us who are in the fan club, and the topic of apples came up, and it was a lively discussion, particularly on a specific apple, and we'll just leave it at that. So if you're not already a member, you're really missing out. So Cayonne Fans is the name of the fan club on Facebook and on Instagram. All right, next up is someone who is joining us from her car on the way to the airport, has to catch a flight. It's none other than double-decker Yumi. Yumi, welcome. Yay.
Hello, yay! Oh yes, I'm so sorry about the car part, but I'm getting closer to being stopping, so that'll be fine. But I'm so happy to join. This is fantastic.
Yes, and we are thrilled to have you. And your perspective as far as, you know, meeting Antonio, engaging with him. You're the person on the panel who's actually been to his restaurants. And
Yes.
Yeah. How was it?
Well, we went to 2 of them. I dragged my ever obliging husband along and said, we have to go to these restaurants. And he was like, okay. And they were great. We went to the very first one that he opened, the Mackenzie Room first, and then our second trip up to Vancouver. And I should say these restaurants are in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we live in the Seattle area. So it's a little bit of a drive, but we were going up there anyway. And the other restaurant we went to was Say Mercy, and they were both wonderful. I really enjoyed it. But we got to meet Antonio at the first one at the Mackenzie Room, and he was incredibly gracious and came and chatted with us and talked about the restaurant and talked about the dishes and just, you know, his ever engaging, enthusiastic self about the food and the restaurant. So it was really wonderful.
Well, it looks like it was an amazing experience. So Yumi gave me some photos of the meals that they had there at both restaurants. So you can find those photos as well on the Hallmark Movies Draft Instagram. So look forward to that. I wish I lived closer so that my husband and I can make that trip, but maybe someday we'll be up there because that food looked absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and Mark, my husband, can vouch for the quality of the cocktails. Those were also very good.
Good. Good. And our third and final panelist is actually making HMD history today with this appearance. It's a Jessica. Yay! Yay! Jessica, you are the very first double-decker to do back-to-back drafts,
That's so
which
exciting.
is both crazy and astonishing. So you literally just did the Taylor Cole draft a couple of weeks ago where you went head to head against Meredith and Erinbeth. But you are such a huge Antonio fan and were such a natural choice to join the fun. You met him at Bramblefest last year, where we were all blown away by his impromptu spoken word recitation. And Erinbeth and I saw it online. We were joining virtually with a bunch of other people. So speaking of words, what's the first word that pops into your mind when you hear the name Antonio Cayonne?
I mean, there's Ubre Blanco, and then there's, my last name because his dad's from that country, Trinidad. So he was so, friendly and giving of his time, like Tracy's already said. And afterward, I walked, we were just chatting for a little bit more, and he's like, "Oh, it's cool. You speak Spanish. I speak French. I don't speak any Spanish." I'm like, "Hey, then how do you have a name like Antonio?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." I said it. I'm like, "Well, I'm a Spanish teacher." And he goes, "Oh, my dad's from Trinidad." And I'm like, "Whoa." And I held up my name tag and he's like, "Oh." And then he told me all about like his dad's background, which was like so interesting, that his dad was like a pioneer in diverse casting and diversity in the arts in Canada. So that was really cool. And the Ubre Blanco was from when they were doing the history, his story. Like that's when I first started kind of interacting with him. I thought, okay, these are these celebrities sitting on a stage, right? And the dude was sitting there, and then they're talking the history thing, and then he goes, Dan keeps saying like pounds of milk, and Tony's like, that's a weird way to measure. And then I would just say out loud, but I wasn't trying to like speak to them or anything. I just go, yeah, it should be like liters. And he made laser eye contact with me, and he's like, exactly right. And I'm like, oh my God. And so for the rest of the weekend, he'd like turn over and like interact with me, like when he was doing stuff on stage. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm friends with the dude. The doctor's talking to me. And he also like, he responds to messages. Yeah. So it's just like that was exciting. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just like, this guy's an actor on TV and stuff. And I'm like talking to him. And he said at the end, he goes, I really appreciate, interacting with you, because I felt really like overwhelmed and nervous, and like it grounded me to be able to talk to you, like interact with you in the audience. And I'm like, okay, no problem, anytime.
So Nicole, if Antonio is starting a stalker list, I think we might have another candidate that can go onto that list. But it's all in good fun. Okay.
Well, as long as my passport's still expired, we're good.
Exactly. So let's start shifting into gameplay mode here. So if this is your first time listening, you might want to pause here and listen to the Hallmark Movie Drafts intro show first. That's where I go over the rules in more depth. I talk about the format of the game, how vetoes work, all that kind of good stuff. Or you can keep listening and no doubt you will pick it up. So eligibility for this draft is very straightforward. The movies had to have premiered on Hallmark or Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel and must feature Antonio in a lead or supporting role. As I said earlier, there are 15 movies eligible for this draft. You can see the list on the Hallmark Movie Drafts Instagram. So that's the parameters that all of our panelists are working within. So let's start talking about drafting positions for this match. There are 3 of them, A, B, and C. Drafter C picks positions 10, 7, and 3 on the list. Drafter C gets 1 veto card and 1 veto override card. Drafter B picks positions 9, 6, 4, and 2. Drafter B gets only 1 veto card because this position gets 4 picks instead of 3. So this player has more chances to get movies from their personal list onto their final list. And drafter A picks positions 8, 5, and the number 1 position on the list. Drafter A gets 1 veto card and 1 bonus veto. So in addition to picking the number 1 movie and getting 1 additional veto card to use, it really gives you maybe an advantage or maybe not. It depends on how stealthily everybody else plays. As I said, both Nicole and Yumi are first-time players, so they're coming into the game just with no extra vetoes hidden away in their pockets. Jessica is a returning player, but she used all of her vetoes in the Taylor Cole game.
Oh,
So
wonder why,
everyone
Erinbeth.
is just as Bran loves it. They're all on an even playing field. Nobody has an advantage. Do what you will. Pick your drafting position wisely. And how do we get to know who's going to be picking what? That's where Tracy and Erinbeth come in doing the veto round. So the first person to answer 1 veto question correctly gets to pick which drafting position they want. The next person to answer a veto question, a trivia question correctly gets to pick their position, and then whoever didn't answer anything or comes in third gets whatever position is left over. So
Nicole goes first, and then Yumi and I battle over who's second.
Maybe not. We'll see.
you never know. So Tracy and Erinbeth, take it away, and good luck, everybody.
All right, so I'm going to start with the rules real fast. Number 1, you can't answer until I have finished asking the question. No jumping in before I've finished speaking. 2, as soon as I finish asking the question, just shout out your answer. 3, I will tell you if your answer is right or wrong. If you're wrong, you can't guess again until the other 2 drafters have made a guess. And 4, if I have to give you a hint or a clue, then anyone can answer after that, even if you just guessed incorrectly. All right, I think we are all set and ready, and Tracy is going to take it away with the number 1 question.
All right, I don't know if you can hear me very well, only because a panel just let out and it seems loud to me. But all right, question number 1. Gonna fix my glasses. Antonio and what Christmas and Evergreen co-star went to Ryerson Theater School?
Ricky Bernard.
Oh, that was like,
That was so close.
I'm going to say it was like exactly at the same time.
I think it was exactly the same. Yeah, I heard it. You
Okay,
both said
Dang it, it's
exactly
the
same
one
time.
question I know the answer to.
Oh, poor Yumi.
all right. Well, we will go on to question number 2. In Fashionably Yours, at what age were Antonio's character and Lauren friends?
15?
No, Jessica is incorrect. It's not 15. There's your clue.
10.
No. Nicole, you want to take one guess?
I know they say childhood friends. I don't know if they gave a year. I'll go with 18.
Oh, so close. It was 17. Instead of continuing to guess numbers, I'm going to pass it back to Tracy for question number 3.
Okay, question number 3. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this. Somebody's very happy standing back, very present. Great. In A Taste of Summer, what is the name of the team Antonio's character coaches?
Oh, Nicole got it.
Yep.
What
Good
is it?
job, Nicole. The answer was Blue Jays. So if you want to take this next few seconds to look over the drafting order and decide which order you want to go in, I'm going to ask the next question, which is, Antonio isn't just in Hallmark movies. In which weekly series did he have a recurring role?
Darrow and Darrow. Darrow and Darrow?
No, that
Yeah.
weekly
Okay.
series.
Ah,
Yumi, do you want to guess?
No.
Can I guess again? Chesapeake Shores.
I know.
I guess
So
Nicole is the
Yumi's
super fan,
camera
yeah?
is off because she's in her car, but I am envisioning that
I was picturing her too.
went with a big scrunchy face.
Oh, yeah. No. It was like, yeah.
I will go ahead and give a clue on this one. This
I
one
think Nicole
takes
said it,
place.
did she?
This one takes place
Sorry, I
near.
ruined it.
I'm sorry.
The clue is this one takes place near water.
Chesapeake Shores.
All right, Jessica, you got it by sheer just deciding it took place near water.
I know he's on that show. Let me I thought you watch it now. Ugh.
Wow. Talk about, I'm not going to say dumb luck, but talk about dumb luck.
Right.
All right. So that was great, you guys. So Nicole, you get to pick your drafting order. Do you need me to tell you the numbers again? I can run through them.
No, I think I will go with B.
Wow. So Nicole is going to be drafter B. That means she is going to get the most picks. She'll have 9, 6, 4, and 2. And she'll have 1 veto. But she'll also be the first in the veto order, where she'll have to declare whether or not she's going to veto a pick. So Nicole has taken drafter B. Jessica, how about you? That leaves A and C.
I think I'm gonna go with C this time.
Okay. Jessica has chosen drafter C, even though I have written her next to drafter A and scribbled it out so that we have that. Drafter C gets positions 10, 7, and 3. And Jessica will have 1 veto, and she'll get the veto override, which works as if someone plays a veto against a pick that Jessica actually agrees with, she can say veto override, and it will cancel out that veto that's been played, and it will lock that pick right into place, and we'll go on with the game. So she can't use a veto override unless she's going to cancel out a veto. It doesn't give her any other vetoing power. So that means that you, Yumi, are drafter A. You will have positions 8, 5, and 1, and you, in essence, get 2 vetoes. You get a regular veto that everyone gets, and you get the bonus veto, which works the same way. So
That's amazing, because I was really struggling with the bottom of my list, but I have very strong opinions about the top of the list.
Then, well, you can work it, girl. Good luck.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. These guys look kind of ruthless to me. They're all smiling right
know.
now. They're smiling right now,
know.
but we know how this goes. Okay, so Jessica, when you are ready, please DM me in the chat your selection for the number 10 pick, which I already have. Jessica has chosen a movie from 2019. The leads are Eric Winter and Rosalind Sanchez, who are married in real life. They play Gabby and Caleb, and it features Antonio as Matthew. The log line from IMDb goes a little like this. Gabby Farrar, played by Rosalind, is a sous chef in New York who moves to the town of Bright Shore, Massachusetts to open a restaurant. When she gets there, she encounters Caleb Delaney, a single father who runs his own restaurant and coaches the girls' softball team. Both restaurants will compete in the town's Taste of Summer food festival, and throughout the summer, Gabby finds joy in running her own restaurant and gets to know Caleb. So Jessica, tell us about Antonio's storyline as Matthew and why you picked this movie for number 10.
He's all around like great dad, husband, brother-in-law, supportive and cheerful and loving and good. And he elevates, in my opinion, he elevates the story. It's kind of a standard garden variety, Hallmark summer story, and like rivals to lovers. Another reason that I like this movie, for one thing, I love the female lead. I'm a big fan of she's in the redo of a Fantasy Island, and she's just lovely. She's gorgeous. Her accent's beautiful. I love that actor that plays Big Boss Man Jeffries and like everything. I love that he's now like her mentor in all of this. He's such a great like bit actor and everything he's in. So like that, the main stuff is enjoyable and pleasant, but like the presence of Antonio makes it like just adds an extra sparkle. And it's just like every time he's on screen, it's just like, oh, there's just like bigger smile,
reasons. Good choice. So Nicole, what do you think of A Taste of Summer at number 10? You're going to veto it? Do you agree? How do you feel about this?
I won't veto it. It was my number 13, but I'll leave it stay at 10. I do think the scene, there's something about the look on his face whenever he comes in and him and his daughter say they're making dinner and they want to know what, and he has the frozen pizzas. There's just something really charming. He doesn't even say anything. It's just the look on his face when he's waving those boxes around. I think it's kind of cute.
All right, Nicole's just going to let it slide, even though didn't even make her list. Yumi, what about you? Hey, nice to see you. I'm sure whatever you said was brilliant. Yeah.
No, I said I'm wearing my wise ass hat because I was trying to get mentally prepared for today. No, I have Taste of Summer at 13 as well. So it's like there just wasn't enough of Antonio in it for me, but it's not worth giving up a veto at this point. So I'm not gonna go down that path. But yeah, it's fine. I just wish there had been more of him in it, but it's an okay movie.
All right. Well, that was fast. So A Taste of Summer gets locked in at position number 10. Nicole, you're up next. You can DM me your pick for number 9. And while she's doing that, Tracy, what do you think of A Taste of Summer at number 10?
I had it on my list. I had it actually higher up on my list. I think for the same reason. I think I had it at 6 or something like that, or 8. I have to flip back and forth from my phone screen I can't remember exactly what it was. But I for the same reasons Jessica said, he's very charming in it. And in my head, I have to remember, is it the movie or are we talking about because it's an Antonio draft? So I know we've had this conversation before in other drafts. Are we thinking about just him in the movies and or are we talking about the entire movie as a whole? Because, well, I'm sure it'll come up in other picks, I'm guessing. But so it was kind of hard for me to pick. I liked him a lot in this one, and I liked his character in this one a lot. I know Yumi he's not in it a lot. Yeah, true, but I did really like his character in it. Anytime he plays a dad.
That's always the challenge, right? And that's the beauty of the game. It's like, what are you basing your picks on? Everybody's got little spreadsheets and they've got their little grading models and they've got, their color-coded Excels, and it's all fabulous. But at the end of the day, you really can't predict how someone is actually going to play and what's their motivation.
I had it up higher on my list.
Yeah.
I'm not drafting this time, so phew.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so I have Nicole's pick for number 9. Nicole is actually offering up a movie from 2020. It stars Ryan Pavey as Daniel, Taylor Cole as Julia, and Antonio is Matt. And the story goes like this. Julia Palmer, played by Cole, is a professional matchmaker who is trying to convince Daniel, who is Ryan Pavey, the handsome newcomer in town, to sign up for her company's matchmaking services. Landing him as a client would help her chances for a job promotion at her firm. Daniel reluctantly agrees to be matched, and as they work together, Julia begins to develop feelings for him. Because he's a client, however, she has to stay professional and keep her feelings to herself while she helps him search for love. So, Nicole, tell us about Antonio's role as Matt in this storyline and why you think this belongs at number 9.
I like this movie, but I don't think it should be much higher than this one, in my opinion. He has good chemistry with LaTonya Williams, who this is the second time he's paired with her as a significant other. There's several cute scenes with him and Ryan Pavey, with him offering advice. I got some behind the scenes info from Antonio while him and Ryan Pavey are walking the dogs. Ryan just wanted to play with the dogs. He is allergic to dogs, so he kept sneezing, and the dogs were crazy the whole time. So he said that there are some pretty funny outtakes from those scenes, and I would like to see those instead. But other than that, I think this is a good place for that movie.
Okay, so Nicole has offered up matching hearts, kind of with a little bit of a hot take there. You were sounding a little bit like Dan at the end. I'd rather see the outtakes of this. But I get your vibe. I totally get it. That is great. That's awesome. So Jessica, you are next up in the veto order. What do you think of Matching Hearts at number 9?
I mean, I had a higher, but I'm not gonna fight this one. I might have had a higher because movie overall, but on Antonio's part, yeah, I can see it if you go by there. But one thing I'll say is watching these movies, I kept like a laser sharp focus on him and like his every expression and stuff. The way that man looks at his ladies is it's quite lovely. He's just like, there's a point where he's like looking at the woman he has intentions for, and it's just like, oh, okay. That's nice.
Jessica is
like-
fanning herself as she's making these statements. Great. Yumi, what about you? What do you think about Matching Hearts at number 9?
It's not my favorite movie. But Antonio's really good in it, right? And I think that's the tension that we keep talking about, which is like, how much do I like him in it and how much do I dislike the movie, right? Like what's the it's like if he was great, but I didn't really like the movie, I'd rather go and have him, reward that performance for him. So this was lower for me, but I'm also not gonna fight it because he was charming in it as he usually is. So
That's a word, that's an
Right there.
adjective that gets used a lot for Antonio. It's charming
Yeah,
and thoughtful, generous and kind. So that's
absolutely.
great. Guys, you did it again. Okay, Matching Hearts is locked in at number 9, played by Nicole. So Yumi, this will be your first time. You can DM me your
Hold
pick
on.
for number 8. Is she switching?
I know. This is a
You are
nightmare.
killing me today.
I know. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. So Tracy and Erinbeth, what do you think of Matching Hearts at number 9?
It was my number 11. So like, it wasn't horribly out of there, but I love dogs. So
Mhm.
I don't know how much of it was Luna, but I think he's really good in this one. And I think the way he looks, I agree. He just gives him that, those oogly eyes and he's just sweet in it.
Tracy, I pulled up your list. Do you need a refresh
yeah.
on where this
Oh
place?
no, it wasn't on my top 10, I don't think. But I agree. I think I had it. Just FYI, full disclosure, I left everything at home or in my classroom locked up. So I had to remember, I had to send them my list from memory while I'm sitting in the convention hall. I was all, So I was like, I think this is what it was. I think I had it about where Beth had it, about 11 or 12. It was right underneath my top 10. Same reasons. I love dogs. You cannot I love them. Still not one of my favorite movies, but of course, we're all going to say it many, many times. Antonio is charming and like all of them. Just put it out there. We love it. That's why we're all super, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but it's not one of my favorite movies. Like the dogs put it up above the bottom.
Just a little bit above.
Step it above
And
the
just
bottom.
Yeah, just as a reminder, if you ever doubted the dedication of the players who join the show every month, do not doubt it, because we've got Tracy in a convention hall in Kansas City on her phone because she forgot her laptop. So she's like sequestered in a corner with thousands of people that are walking by, stalking her. We've got Yumi waiting to catch a plane. She's remote. You're out of your car now because I can see you. So
Yep.
that's good.
Yep. I have trees behind me.
And you have trees behind you, so it's all good. Okay, I do have Yumi's pick for number 8. So Yumi has offered up a movie from 2020. The leads are Kat Graham and Kendrick Sampson. It's called Fashionably Yours. After years of working for a Seattle-based fashion magazine, organizing their collections, Lauren, who's Kat Graham, decides to move home because she's been passed by for a promotion. In exchange for her organizing services, the owner of a moving company that she hires, Rob, who is Kendrick Sampson, makes it his mission to help her see the beauty of Seattle. Oh, I see what you did there, Yumi. Seattle. Okay.
Yes.
Seattle area.
Yes.
Double decker.
Absolutely.
Helps her see the beauty of Seattle because Lauren tells him how much she dislikes Seattle. And Rob becomes her tour guide for 2 weeks leading up to her move and shows her there's a lot to love about Seattle and maybe even him. Antonio plays Brian in this. So Yumi, tell us about Antonio's storyline as Brian and why you picked this for number 8.
I thought it was really interesting because he's like the ex-boyfriend, right? He's the former love interest. Her mom's like, oh, Brian, you should, and I thought he did a really nice job with it because he doesn't come across as like the person that you really think is going to ruin the A-line love story. But he's just like, again, wonderful and warm in it and just seems like a wonderful former love interest or possible love interest, but not in a Baxterish, like the classic Baxter kind of way. And then, yes, it's Seattle. And I thought they actually did a really nice job showing parts of Seattle. And I enjoy this movie. This movie is, it's like, oh, it's very sweet. And so all of those things made me want it on the list.
Well said. And yeah, I'm trying to see, if I can develop a Baxter draft.
Yes.
It's just going to be hard to come up with an eligibility list because it's almost every freaking movie ever made on Hallmark. So
that's true.
But it might be a special, episode where we just get panelists together and chat about our favorite Baxters,
Well, you could do like a Marcus Rosner list because he's been the Baxter for a lot.
Marcus is on the list for 2026, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I know all the shows are scheduled and it's really crazy.
That's
Anyway,
crazy.
that's a great pick. She's got Fashionably Yours that she's offered up as number 8. So Nicole, it's back to you for whether or not you want to let it slide or veto it. How do you feel?
I had this slightly higher at 7. This is the only Antonio movie I had not seen until after I met him. And I watched it and I immediately messaged him and I said, this girl is dumb. That if I was out with a guy and he made a napkin rose for me, hell with the mover, I'd be done. I'm with Brian. I also think the lead guy's voice is incredibly annoying. So that would be another reason that I'd definitely be with Brian. Antonio told me he actually auditioned to be the lead in this. How much better would the movie be if Antonio was the lead?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Everybody's giving it a thumbs up.
They mentioned the Brian's last name is Bowman. In Curious Cater, he plays Brad Bowman. So I have developed a whole movie series about the Bowman twins, Brian and Brad, and how they move on with their lives after they're dumped by Lauren and Goldie. And I would like that movie made.
Is that your next book coming out? Forget the movie series. Why don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Start
That's
on
hilarious.
twins and how they move on with their lives after these stupid girls dump.
That's hilarious.
So I'm assuming you're not going to pull a Lady Panda and veto this just to play it.
No, I won't.
Time. You're gonna let it go. Okay, Jessica, that moves over to you. What do you think of Fashionably Yours at number 8?
I freaking hate it. I hate this movie. I told you I am vetoing with a capital V, and I hate that.
Oh,
Early. It took me 3 days to get through this movie because it was so bad. I had to keep turning it off and walking away and doing other things. And then, like, my sons yesterday, when I was like at the last 10 minutes, my 2 sons kept coming in and interrupting me. And I'm like, you guys, I have to get through this horrible movie, and I can't because you keep interrupting me. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry, Mom. First of all, yes, the lead's voice, like leads, and I'm one of the things that like just completely like objectifying the man that I'm going to do that I love best about Antonio is his voice. Like he just has just this gorgeous voice that just captivates me. And then that lead is just like, oh, just stop talking. And he like is cardboard. There's zero chemistry. Look, I'm happy that Bonnie Bennett is getting work. Like, good for her. Like that. I never remember the actress's name. I knew Erinbeth now. Like, I'm good job, Bonnie. You're getting work. But again, with the bad wigs, okay, there's that side note. And yeah, like he's the obvious choice. But when he shows up on screen, I'm like, my first bit of notes that I wrote about this movie was, oh no, he's the Baxter. No, Antonio is no man's Baxter.
Wow. Okay.
And also it's bad. Like their chemistry doesn't exist. It's like, I'm falling for you. Like, what are you falling for? Like it's a non-existent chemistry. It's like opposite side of magnets chemistry. Okay, that's all.
Wow. Okay. So, Yumi, can you hear me?
And
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
thank goodness she didn't like tear apart Seattle, because I was
I
just waiting
know.
for that to be part of
I
it,
know
right?
Seattle's awesome.
It's like,
Right?
did she
Seattle.
I'm
miss
like-
like almost the whole point of the freaking movie was to showcase Seattle? All
I
right.
know.
All right. Let me turn my mic back on because I don't want to just.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thanks
All
for
right,
that direct
so-
message.
Yeah,
Lynn.
so we're
Yeah.
back on. So sorry, Yumi. Jessica has vetoed your pick, Fashionably Yours at number 8. That just
That's
takes
okay.
it out of that position. It doesn't remove it from the game.
Ugh.
So if you want to DM me your
I
next in
did.
line, I see it.
I
right
did.
there.
Yes. Well, now I'm thinking I'm so happy I have the number 1 pick.
Fashionably Yours at number 1.
Don't pull an Erinbeth on me, man.
You can't trust Jessica for anything with your drafts.
No.
See, the other beauty of this game is it's designed to crush people's dreams and ruin friendships. So
It is.
that's just, a side Benny. Just a side Benny there. So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So Yumi has offered up a movie from 2018. It stars Kimberly Williams Paisley, Tom Cavanaugh, and Wendy Malick. It's the number 2 episode, number 2 in the series of the Darrow and Darrow mystery series. It's the movie called In the Key of Murder. And it goes like this. So, and there were 4 movies in the series overall. So this is the second one. Claire Darrow is a lawyer with her own law firm. She's also a single mom to her high school daughter, and she's an amateur sleuth solving murder mysteries. Her mom is Joanna Darrow, that's played by Wendy Malick, who's also a lawyer. And Tom Cavanaugh plays Assistant DA Miles Strasberg, who is her friend. Antonio plays Chester Lime. And in this movie, Claire and Miles are dating at a club where Miles's kid sister sings. His sister gets arrested for murdering the music producer that she just fired, and Claire takes the case and the detecting begins. So Yumi, tell us about Antonio's storyline as Chester in this movie and why you picked it for number 8, because Jessica evidently hates Seattle.
Yes. Well, then she's really not going to like Vancouver, BC either, because it's very similar. I am a sucker for horrible mystery series. Like I will watch all of them, any of them. It doesn't matter. I just will do it. I think it's because I grew up watching Murder, She Wrote and things like that. So it's just like in my DNA for some reason. However, I do think this is the first 2 of these series are pretty good. And I like this episode more because they gave Chester Antonio more to do, right? He's not like this just neophyte lawyer who's kind of bumbling around asking for direction. Like he gets to be the tech guy, right? He solves a problem for them. And I just thought it was nice to have him included more. And it's sort of like earlier on in the Hallmark realm for him. And so it's just kind of fun to see him. And I wish they had done more of those movies. And developed his character a bit more. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good for a Hallmark movie mystery. Let's just be very clear.
Exactly. And who doesn't love, Murder, She Wrote? Oh my gosh. I can still hear the theme music in my head and I would kill for that typewriter. So
I know.
it's all good. Bring
Right.
on the Hallmark mystery movies. They're all wonderful in their own fabulous, horrible way. So that's
exactly.
So Nicole, back to you, my dear. What do you think of this one? This is the second one in the series, In the Key of Murder.
I had it at number 6 on my list. I like it. I like his team building scene where he gets overly emotional about his father's disappointment in him. He was telling me that he was supposed to introduce himself in every scene, even though these people knew him. And if you listen, there's one scene they didn't cut it out. He just walks up and he goes, Chester Lime, and then starts talking. He said there was one whole scene they filmed with him in front of a mirror where he just practices introducing himself. I would love to see that in the movie, but it didn't make the cut. So, and these are people that actually have a reason to investigate crime. They're not librarians or bakers. So that's a point in their favor too. So I like this one.
Can I just say I'm loving all of Nicole's inside information.
Right?
Isn't it great?
Amen.
Isn't it great?
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
I'm now crossing Nicole off of the murder mystery draft.
Yeah.
Half of them, 99% of them are not actually entitled to be solving mysteries.
I mean, I
Get
would
back
love
to your
go out and solve
baking,
crime,
people.
but I don't have a reason to. either, so.
That's great. Jessica, my dear,
Uh-huh.
Darrow
Yeah.
and Darrow in the Key of Murder at number 8.
First of all, I want to be very clear about the fact that I think Seattle's a lovely city and I love Vancouver as well. So I just want that to be abundantly clear.
Yeah. Well, you don't have
yeah.
any vetoes left, so you
I
you
know.
only
No,
have
no,
the
no.
veto
That-
override.
But I
Yeah.
just wanted to make that known. Yeah, no, this was really close to where I had it, and yeah, that description is just fine. And in that bit where he's trying to do the team building stuff, and there's like 4 people in that office. It was sweet, and that they get how they went along with it. Yeah, I liked this one a lot. I like
Okay.
it. I like it where it is. It belongs where it is. Yeah.
Great. So you go ahead and send me, Jessica, your pick for number 7. I'm going to do a
Okay.
quick recap. We have A Taste of Summer at number 10, Matching Hearts at number 9, Darrow and Darrow film number 2, which is In the Key of Murder at number 8. Tracy, what do you think about the Darrow and Darrow series?
Okay, sorry, I had to unmute. Wow, I really like the Darrow movie series. I think I watched one of them a long time ago and kind of forgot about him. And Antonio wasn't even on my radar back then. And so I remember going back to rewatch and I was like, oh, Antonio's in these. And I love Chester. I think he is kind of like this bumbling but shy and like he's trying to work up the nerve to ask the other. Well, I know that's the other, but anyway, I don't want to, in case anybody else wants to talk about that movie later. But I just love his character. I love Chester. He's just like, he reminds me of some of my this is gonna sound weird, but some of like my middle school kids who are just like, I don't know, Miss Perry, should I go talk to this girl? Should I go talk to this boy? I don't know. I found it super cute. I really like him in these movies. And I love Tom Cavanaugh, and I love Kimberly Williams Paisley, and Wendy Malick. And I mean, I don't know how
Great
you could do these
cast.
rats.
You can't,
Yeah, I don't know
you
how.
can't beat the cast. So it's
Yeah.
great. Awesome. All right. So we've got the first 10, 9, and 8 locked in. It's going to be Jessica's turn to send me her pick for number 7. Erinbeth, I know you're a big mystery fan, just like me. What do you think of the series?
It's actually one of my favorites. I've rewatched them several times, and I do remember seeing Antonio. He wasn't like on my radar like he is now, but I remember thinking in my head that he was like too cute to be in that awkward Chester kind of, role that they put him in. And so I just remember thinking, he's a cutie, she won't friend zone him. And so, yeah, I like it. And I mean, the cast is such high caliber. I mean, I think COVID may have sidelined that one, because I do believe there was supposed to be more, but it canceled. I think that they lost out on that one, but it's a good series.
Well, Jessica has sent a little more Darrow and Darrow love our way for you guys to decide on. I just have her offering for position number 7. It's Darrow and Darrow, and it's actually the pilot episode, which was in 2017. So it's the first in the series of 4. So this is when there's a really close friend is convicted of stealing from an expensive jewelry store, and it's up to Claire, who's Kimberly Williams Paisley, to bring justice. That's basically the plot in one sentence or less. So Jessica, tell us about your reasoning for picking this for number 7.
It as pilots go, man, like it's you're done with this and you're like, okay, let's watch the next one. And Yumi, this is the one that you and I like video chatted together, right?
Yeah.
We did a group chat watching this. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
And okay, first of all, the man rocks the bow tie. Let's just settle that one out right now. He's so sweet. He does the like lovelorn boy really well, and then he's like trying to kind of get over being intimidated by the other guy in the office, and that story he makes that B storyline like a strong story and not just like, oh, cute little background office blah 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 blah. Like he makes it a legitimate like part of the story. And then the mystery is interesting, and I love what Nicole says about she has legitimate reason to actually solve this crime. And the cast, my God, I mean, you can put Wendy Malick, and I love her enough to watch even like really bad movies. This is not a really bad movie, but she's fantastic in everything she's in.
Yeah, she's so good. She's just so good. Okay, Yumi, you are next up in the veto order. What do you think of this one?
I had this just one higher than the one I put in, so I'm totally happy with it in this spot. Yeah, I loved it.
Awesome. Okay, that brings us back to you, Nicole. Is it going to stay at number 7, the pilot episode of Darrow and Darrow?
I had it at 10. I'm fine with it at 7. I think it's really cute that every time he goes to ask her out, instead he asks for a pen. Like, how many pens does he have? So long. I think it's cute that the older man in the office kind of fixes them up. The scene where they're talking about the obscure laws reminds me, years ago, I worked in a law firm, and the one lawyer had on his desk a bag of peanuts because it said on it, may contain peanuts. And he would always say, it's my kind that caused this to happen. Some stupid person's going to sue someone, and someone like me is going to represent them. So the scene where they talk about the obscure laws makes me think of when I worked at the law firm and that bag of peanuts, and it makes me laugh.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. All right. Well, Darrow and Darrow, the pilot episode from 2017, is locked in at number 7. Nicole, you can go ahead and DM me your pick for number 6. You guys can mark your calendars for September of 2025 for the murder mystery pilot draft. It's going to be all the murder mysteries, just the pilot episodes that we'll be drafting. Yeah, don't make any plans 2.5 years from now. So there you have it. I know you think I'm kidding, but I'm really not.
I wrote it down. It's on my it's on my piece.
Down.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. All right. So I have Nicole's pick for number 6. She has offered up a movie from 2017. It stars Jen Lilly and Brendan Penny. I don't think he wears glasses in this one. Sorry, people. It's called A Dash of Love. And the storyline is an aspiring chef, Nikki Turner, played by Jen, lands a dream job at her idol's restaurant and befriends the handsome executive chef, Paul, played by Brendan Penny. Her excitement is short-lived when she discovers that her rock star chef boss, played by Perry Gilpin, is stealing her recipes. She fires them both to protect her secret, and Nikki and Paul partner together to open up their own place to prove their food is better. Antonio plays Jared. So tell us about Antonio's storyline as Jared in this movie and why you pick it for number 6, why you like it.
First of all, I want to try some of the food she makes. Like the ice cream cone chicken sounds delicious. I want some. I've considered trying to make it myself, but it probably won't turn out very good. His chemistry with Brendan Penny, like you can tell they're friends, and just the way they talk. I love the first scene they're together playing basketball. Brendan Penny's character is giving him advice. And then suddenly, like a week later, Antonio's character is suddenly now the expert because he's known this girl for a week. that he's then giving Brendan Penny advice. And he says, like, Brendan Penny's so worked up, and Antonio's character says, I know you told me 3 times, and I want to apologize to my friend Laura, who I'm always saying things to her whenever I'm upset with someone, and she has probably thought in her head many times, I know you've told me 3 times. So Laura, I'm sorry. This whole scene made me think of us.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Jessica, what do you think of Dash of Love for number 6?
Yeah, I just
You
have
don't
it
have any vetoes, but
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
but I really did have it just as one above there here. So yeah, and yeah, their friendship is great. Your head's not in the game, man. Like, oh yeah, that was good. Like the basketball scenes are so great. And yeah, the way he looks at the girl. Yeah, it's a sweet, I'd watch it again for sure. And that's one of my parts of my ratings list is would I watch it again, or how willing am I to watch it again. So yeah, it's good. I like it. He's a good bestie.
So Yumi, that leaves it up to you for Dash of Love for number 6. Jessica is not vetoing it because she doesn't have a veto, and also because I don't think it takes place in Seattle, so
Yeah.
she's fine with that. What do
Not,
you think?
it's an okay movie. Like, I think it's fine. I'm happy that he gets to play basketball. That was great. I was like, did they write that for him? Like, they go, oh, what kind of activity do you guys want to do? Oh, you like basketball? Let's just do basketball, which I thought was great. But I'm not sure if he's wearing actual basketball shoes in the scene. I was looking at it. I was looking at his shoes. I'm like, I'm not sure those are basketball shoes. Anyway, that's beside the point.
It's very Brian Harold of you. Very good.
Yeah, like, let me pause, take a screenshot, and figure out if those are basketball. No, I'm happy with. I'm okay with it there, just because he's always great, right? He's got good rapport with everybody in these movies with, and so I just think it's wonderful. So yeah, we'll leave it there.
Good job. Okay, so Nicole's pick of Dash of Love is locked in at number 6. Are you guys okay? Do you want to keep going, or do you want to take a little break? How are you doing? Thumbs up?
Good.
Thumbs up. All right, let's do it. So number 5 will bring us to Yumi to send me her pick for number 5. And
Okay.
so as she's doing that, we've got Tracy, what are you thinking? I saw you kind of smile when Dash of Love came up. What do you think of this movie?
I really like this movie. I mean, it's not in my top 5. I think I have it at, I think I had it at 8. I know it's in my list. I like this movie. I like Antonio in this movie. I really like Brendan Penny in this movie too. So, and it's like Jessica said, it's one that I would watch again. I have watched again. It's one I actually own, that on my like I bought it on Amazon Prime so I could watch it again. So it's just one that I do like. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good. I'll go with you guys putting this one on here. I have no problems with that one. So I'm a sucker for restaurant movies too, like chef movies and stuff like that. So, which also makes me go, Antonio did a few. He's doing those too. I was like, coincidence? No, I don't know. But I like this movie.
You can mark your
Like,
calendars again, because there's a restaurant theme draft. that comes up. And that one's actually in 2023, so you don't have to wait that. I'm 2024, excuse me. You don't have to wait that long. Yeah, it was a suggested topic from Double Decker Jackie. So
that's a good one.
Nice.
yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good one. Okay, so we have the number 5 offering from Yumi, and it is a movie from 2021. It stars Fiona Gubelman as Hazel. Antonio stars as Jared. It is The Vows We Keep. This premiered on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. Hazel is played by Fiona. She's an event planner. Her sister Lindsay is getting married, and they want the event to be at Rosewood Inn. It turns out that the owner of the inn, Simone, played by Linda Thorson, has decided to sell the place. So Hazel manages to push the wedding forward in time to have the wedding there before the inn is sold. And in return, she has to plan all of the events at the inn, help me, before the sale. It's through that lens that she gets to know Jared, who's played by Antonio, and he's there to help Simone with the sale. Actors Linda Thorson and Michelle Scarabell as estranged sisters are really at the heart of this movie, which puts childhood memories and family reconciliation at the forefront, along with the blossoming romance between Hazel and Jared. So why this movie?
Yeah,
at
this is
number 5.
sound like Dan. I really don't like this movie. However, he gets to be the lead, right? And so we get more of him, and I think he does a fine job. I just wish this was a much better movie, right? Because it is like wedding planning, selling a property, a lot of heavy loss themes. Like this is not a happy movie, right? But I was like, well, but he's in the movie more, and it's nice to see him have a lead role, and I liked that about it. And that's basically what I liked about it. Everything else in this movie, I was like, oh, it's all some of my least favorite things, but the scenery is beautiful, right? Yeah, I have really no good defense of it other than him. That's it. That's the defense of this movie, is like he's charming as usual. So
that is a good defense. There's a lot of wait, what's?
This movie.
And those are counterbalanced by grab the Kleenex. What is happening to this family, this relationship? What's going on here? So, but it's great to see Antonio at the forefront. So Nicole, what do you think of The Vows We Keep at number 5?
I actually had this at number 2, simply because we get so much Antonio. It does have a heavy storyline. Things I like about it, like you said, the scenery is just gorgeous. It has an interfaith wedding, which at the time this movie was made, not many did. It has a cute childhood picture of Antonio, which I like. He did tell me that the original script did not have very much of a relationship with him and Fiona Gubelman, even though it ended with a kiss. So him, Fiona, and the director kind of mixed things up a little bit to make it a little more flirty between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the scene where they're working in the rose garden, he gets kind of steamy with her at the one point. So I think they did a good job of showing build up to a relationship which wasn't written into the script for them. So I'll let it stay there, but I think this should be a little bit higher.
Well, you have a veto. You can.
I know, but I'm saving that for one particular movie I will not let be on this list.
Okay.
As always, it's just going to be a bloodbath from 3 to 1. So, all right. So Nicole is letting it slide. Jessica, you don't have a veto, but do you have any quick thoughts on The Vows We Keep?
You rub that in every time. You have no vetoes, but what do you say? I
say it for the listeners, more for you, but I do enjoy saying it to you. I have to.
Fair. Totally understand. I had it a little higher, but honestly, I agree with everything Yumi said, and then I'll add, like, I have, chemistry. Like smolder and chemistry are 2 different parts of my little rating system. Like a smolder is like for days, right? But the chemistry that's there is 100% him carrying it. She gives nothing, and yeah, I mean, yeah, all the things. I'm so tired of wedding planning movies. I'm so tired of we got to get all this done before we sell the thing. We're not going to sell it movies, and just tired of it. And it sucks because, like, exactly what you were saying, like, yay, we get one where he's a lead, but it's a really bland movie. So, but I had it higher because we got to see him more, and because his smolder was like a 12 out of 10. So,
all right. Well, The Vows We Keep is locked in at number 5. While I wait for Nicole to send me her number 4 pick, let me do a recap. We've got A Taste of Summer at number 10, Matching Hearts at 9, Darrow and Darrow's second film in the series, In the Key of Murder, at number 8. At number 7 is the Darrow and Darrow pilot. At number 6 is Dash of Love. And just now we locked in The Vows We Keep at number 5. Nicole is going to send me her pick for number 4. And while I am doing that, Erinbeth, what do you think of The Vows We Keep?
Number 10 on my list, just because I felt like it needed to be on there. It's like a movie, it's the movie he's the lead in. I think he did carry it a lot. There were way too many storylines, and I feel like he did a fantastic job. He scored very high on my scoring list, so it needed to be here. It actually got moved up into that spot, out of line of what it scored originally.
Right. So I have Nicole's pick for number 4. I feel like I say this movie in every freaking draft. I'm not kidding. I cannot watch this movie one more time. As much as I love it, as much as I love this movie, it's at least mentioned, if not making the list, almost every single draft. So Nicole has chosen a movie from 2016. It stars Andrew Walker, Taylor Cole, Marcus Rosner. Say it with me now. Appetite for Love. Corporate executive Mina Jones, played by Taylor, is sent to her hometown to rebrand a restaurant as part of a strategic acquisition. She hasn't been back in years, and the owner is now her high school sweetheart, Clay Hart, played by Andrew Walker. Marcus Rosner plays Reed, Mina's current boyfriend. Antonio plays Lucien. Okay. So he's like the sous chef, the chef at the restaurant. So tell us about Antonio's storyline as Lucien in this movie and why you picked it for number 4. Nicole.
Well, I like this because it's both Antonio and Taylor's very first movie with Hallmark. So I thought that needed to be on the list simply for that. Marcus Rosner is the best terrible boyfriend in the world. I'm telling you now, you don't need to do your draft. He's number 1. So that one's over. Marcus Rosner wins.
Nicole, I actually don't have a terrible boyfriend draft. Putting that for 2027. January 2027.
I like Antonio's character in this. If you've ever met him, which most of us have, you actually see a little bit of Antonio in this, the funny voices and the accents when he's describing the food. I would say of all of his Hallmark characters, this one is the most Antonio.
Really?
So that's why I like this. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So Nicole has chosen at number 4, Appetite for Love. Jessica, what are your thoughts on this movie? Because you have no vetoes. I said it quickly. How's that? Does that sound better?
Fair. Yeah, I dig that his character is kind of its own person. It's not a like be love line or like the buddy of the guy. And I feel like he gets relegated to that a lot, especially like during the Bill Abbott years. Is kind of like token non-white guy, and it's like he's so much more than that. And so I dig that he is more of a character in this, and how like the stuff he does to kind of resist Taylor, and like he gives of himself in this. I had this a bit lower, but I think it's because I was rating it that and Taylor at the same time, and I was kind of and so I think that's more on me. But your argument, Nicole, reminded me, kind of refreshed my memory of his role in this movie, and it is a really like good role to watch.
Awesome. Yumi, what do you think?
I have this
Appetite for Love at number 4.
Yeah, I have this at number 4, right?
Oh,
Do you really?
Yeah, no, number 4, because when he said trick people into eating bad food, I laughed. I was like, yep, that's totally, it was great. I thought he was great in this movie. I also had forgotten how like faux villain Taylor Cole is in this movie, right? Like she's really mean for her, right? No, I like this movie, and I think I like how all of his roles seem to be like, oh, he plays basketball in this one, he's a cook in this one, and a lot of restaurant stuff. So it's like ties in with his real life nicely, I think.
All right. So Appetite for Love is locked in at number 4. Here's where all the happy faces start to change on the screen because we're going to number 3 now. And number 3 will be teed up by Jessica. And while she's teeing it up, Tracy, what do you think of Appetite for Love at number 4?
Okay, I think I'd only seen this movie one time. It didn't make my top 10 because I didn't rewatch it for this. I got a little bit behind. And then I just forgot. You guys all said these things, and I was all, oh, I really need to rewatch this. I think this should have been in my top 10, which, by the way, you guys sitting in the lobby here, because you're talking about Taylor Cole, I'm trying not to react, but walked by, Victor Webster walked by, Taylor Cole walked by, Jonathan Bennett all walked by, and I'm all, don't react. But, hi, Taylor. I was like, hi. But she just walked by me to go back to her booth. Anyway.
Is she a blonde or a brunette today?
Brunettes. She's brunette. But going back to Appetite for Love, I need to go back and rewatch this because I think after you guys talked about it, I'm all, oh my gosh, things were coming back to me. And I'm like, oh, I really should have had this higher on my list. Shame on me. Shame on me.
You know, I'm
So
surprised
that's all on
because
me.
you've probably drafted like 2 or 3 times at this point. I think maybe
Yeah.
2 or 3. I'm surprised. Yeah, you're right. None of the drafts that you've been on was this on the eligibility list. So lucky.
Yeah, so I didn't have to rewatch this
So
one.
now you
and
have
I'm
to
like,
rewatch
oh,
it.
no,
Exactly.
it's definitely on my list to rewatch because I was like, oh wait, this is the most Antonio. Okay, I really gotta go back and watch. So thank you all for
It's good.
helping me realize I gotta go back and watch this.
Well, you
It's
know,
good.
Tracy, that Lynn and I could act it out for you. We probably
bet you
have it
could.
memorized at this point.
Probably, yeah.
I could do an interpretive dance with my
Yes.
ribbon wand of all the key scenes of Appetite for Love.
I'm surprised you don't have the eating run contest like mapped out in your house, right? Like for my next snack, right?
That's
Oh my
right.
gosh.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we love it.
We need that.
We love
at
you,
Bristol
Andrew
Fest
Walker,
too.
Taylor Cole, Marcus
Yeah.
Rosner, Antonio. This movie is like I can recite every word practically. Okay,
I have to
so
watch it again for the restaurant draft. Oh,
exactly. I have Jessica's pick for number 3. Here we go, people, buckle up. Jessica has chosen a movie from 2020. It stars Rukia Bernard, Holly Robinson Pete, and Antonio. It's Christmas in Evergreen. Bells Are Ringing. This is the 4th movie in the Christmas in Evergreen series. There are several storylines happening all at once in this, but overall, at the center are Hannah Tucker, played by Rukia, launching the new Evergreen Museum, I think it is, and questioning her own future, and if her fiance Elliot, who is played by Antonio, is really Mr. Right. So it's an all-star cast with many of the series characters making appearances like Barbara Nivens and Ashley Williams. The cast really showcases Hallmark's starting to be more intentional about making films that have more diversity in terms of their actors that are in roles, in leading roles, not just background roles. So that's basically Bells Are Ringing. It's really featuring Hannah Tucker and Elliot. So why this one at number 3, Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing?
okay. We were promised that it was a movie that was going to feature them as a couple, and then we were shown a different movie than what the commercials advertised. And that irritated me. The whole weird, like, obviously the actor who played Thomas, I don't know if he had COVID or what, but the whole like, we're planning a wedding. Oh no, we're not going to have a wedding. We're just going to show up on Zoom. I'm like, are they going to do a Zoom like by proxy wedding? And then Antonio will be the by proxy guy. Like, no, we're just gonna have a little scene where they read their vows to each other. Okay. I love the kid, like watching him grow up throughout the movies was charming to see. you don't often get to see the what happens after the happily ever after. So, that's always intriguing to see like what happens in their relationship and how are they working it out. I think the breakup was unnecessary, but we did get a lot of cute scenes between the two of them, like with the snow fights, and that you can see like they have really good chemistry, and you see it at play there. And so they are what, like, the good of this movie is the two of them. Like the hat guy, I totally want like a biopic of those actresses who play the twins. Like, what is their story? And but yeah, they are the single like charm of this movie, and they're both super charming, so it bears a spotlight.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Nicole, you're first up in the veto order. What do you think of Christmas in Evergreen? Bells Are Ringing at number 3.
I had this as my number 1, but again, I'm saving my veto because I'm afraid something else is going to make the list.
Wait, you're not going to use a veto to get this to your number 1?
No, because there's one that will not make the list. Over my dead body will it make the list. But
I'm just gonna say that sounds familiar.
I cannot wait to hear.
I cannot wait
Totally
to hear
crazy.
this.
I know. 'Cause
I
I'm
love
afraid
it.
I'm afraid it's gonna be me when I put my pick in.
Jessica mentioned the snowball scenes. The first snowball scene where they talk about when they first met, I think that's sweet romantic. They're throwing snowballs and they make snow angels. Their breakup scene, you can feel the heartbreak, but then the snowball scene after they've broken up and they kind of grab onto each other. Why is that snow not melted? Holy heck, that's a steamy scene. So yeah, we'll leave it there. It should be number 1, but we'll leave it there.
All right, as long as you can sleep at night, that this is going to, this may stay at number 3. We will, what will Yumi do? Yumi, what do you think about this at number 3?
I just wish this had been a better movie, right? Like, again, I love having him have a bigger role, and there's some great things about it, but man, I don't like this movie very much. But so I will leave it at 3 because I'm now convinced that the movie I'm going to put in is the one Nicole wants out. So I'm I'm kind of hoping.
You have 2 vetoes.
I know, but this is right kind of where I had it, right? It's really
That's
close
where
to
you
where I
had
had it. So it's, yeah, I'm not unhappy about it there.
Okay, so Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing is locked in at number 3. I'm going to do a quick recap while Nicole sends me her choice for number 2. This will be her last pick. Jessica played her last pick with Bells Are Ringing. So at number 10, we have A Taste of Summer. 9 is Matching Hearts. 8 is Darrow and Darrow. It's the second film in the key of murder. 7 is the Darrow and Darrow pilot episode from 2017. At 6, we have Dash of Love. At 5, we have The Vows We Keep. At 4 is Appetite for Love. At 3 is Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing. And at number 2, Nicole is offering up a movie from 2022. It stars Nikki DeLoach and Andrew Walker. It's from the mystery series Dying for Chocolate. It's Dying for Chocolate, A Curious Caterer. This is the first movie in the mystery series. Colorado caterer and single mom Goldie Berry teams with Detective Tom Schultz, played by Andrew Walker, to identify the ingredients that led to the mysterious death of her friend, and ends up discovering a hidden recipe for murder. Antonio plays Brad Bowman. So, Nicole, tell us why this is your number 2
Well,
for
it has the other Bowman twin. So,
soon to be featured in your next book.
Yes. First of all, Antonio, don't listen to this part. Before this movie, I always thought of him as the guy that works at Darrow and Darrow. Didn't matter what he was in, he was the guy that works at Darrow and Darrow. This movie, I thought, holy heck, that guy's good looking. What's his name again? So, okay, now Antonio can listen again. I like this movie. I really think Hallmark dropped the ball. Andrew Walker, I like him, but he plays the same character in every movie. He's the guy who wants to tear down the woman's house, farm, street, whatever. He's a nice guy. His dad's making him do it every freaking movie. This movie, he's a different character. He's kind of grouchy. He's a slob, and he shows jealousy with Brad and Goldie out to dinner. I think they should have continued this. It could have been a great love triangle. Not just that we'd see more Antonio, which everyone wants, but to give Andrew's character more to like a foil, someone that he's challenged by, not just he easily gets the girl, even though he's tearing down her treehouse. So Antonio's a nice dresser. He's rich. He should be in all of them. This should be a love triangle. That's my only complaint.
Wow. So I am so looking forward to Bramblefest when I play that clip to Mrs. Walker.
I would tell Andrew himself. So, I love him. I do.
I still have time to go to his booth.
Oh,
The very next
I
week,
will.
I will watch it, but I know what's going to happen. So
That was a perfect analysis there. Nicole, that is great. Nicole has offered up Dying for Chocolate, A Curious Caterer at number 2. Jessica, what are your thoughts? Because you have no vetoes. What are your thoughts?
I have this at like number 12. So yeah, I just kind of found it to be kind of forgettable. Except Antonio is a little spooky in one scene, which is kind of cool. He's like, I handled it. I was like, ooh, scary. But otherwise, meh.
Yeah.
Eh.
Okay. Yumi, how about you? You have 2 vetoes. This is number 2. What are you feeling?
I'm gonna use one of my vetoes. I will.
All right.
Yep.
A Curious Caterer from Dying for Chocolate is crossed off. Yumi has used one of her 2 vetoes. So Nicole, you need to send me a new pick. Do you want to declare why you vetoed this, or would you like to hold that thought?
I'm gonna hold the thought.
Okay, you hold that thought. I know, Tracy. Tracy's face is cracking me up. Tracy, I guess you have to hold that thought too. Let's see what Nicole comes up with. Nicole has actually sent me her pick to replace this. It is one of the Darrow and Darrow movies. It is the 3rd one in the series. This is this is Body of Evidence from 2019. And in this one, in this movie, Claire and Miles, so that's Kimberly Williams Paisley and Tom Cavanaugh, believe a convicted murderer is innocent, as they often do. And a year after she has been sent to prison, they start reinvestigating the case of the person who was sent to prison. So, Nicole, why did you choose this one, even though you wanted Dying for Chocolate? Why did you choose this one for your number 2?
because of what's left, there's only one other one that deserves to be number 1. So we went to the least bad of what I had left. I like the scene where he wants to argue for car-free lanes, but then ends up arguing against them because that argument was better. It's such a stupid Chester move. So this will be my number 2, I guess.
Okay, so Darrow and Darrow, Body of Evidence at number 2. Nicole, do you have not Nicole, sorry, Jessica, do you have thoughts you want to share on that one? Is the number 2 on this list?
First of all, I love the mystery in this one. It was a really cool story. I didn't care for the fact that they, like, at least in the first scene with him and Wendy Malick, it totally looked like they were relegating Antonio to be the foil to her droll humor. And it was like, that was, that first scene with the two of them, was like, oh brother, we can't have this be like a setup and now she tells her little joke like for the rest of the movie. And they didn't really do that. And then he Chestered it out, and that was fantastic. And by this movie, I love that, like, we have the clear idea of who Chester is as a character, and in that this kind of like does that little like cherry on the ice cream sundae of like who this guy is. So
I love that you made Chester into a verb, so that's good. He Chestered it out. I will try to use that in my next meeting. Thank you very much. Yumi, have you Chestered it out? Is this going to stay at number 2, or are you going to use your last veto on this?
No, I like Chester Line, right? I like these stories. I wish they had continued, because I think they would have hopefully given him more to do. And so, yeah, I just liked his character in it. Some of it was a little inconsistent, because you can tell when they like redid, like, especially the last one, I'm not right. They just like reintroduced everybody. And I was like, but we've already watched 3. I don't need to be. But yeah, no, I like it. It's honestly, he's great. Which, if this is an Antonio Cayonne list, he's great. So I'm happy with that.
Good. It is an Antonio Cayonne list, so that is awesome.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the last pick, which is Yumi's for number 1. I'm going to do a quick recap. We have A Taste of Summer at number 10. At 9 is Matching Hearts. At 8 is Darrow and Darrow number 2, In the Key of Love. At 7 is Darrow and Darrow number 1, the pilot episode from 2017. At 6 is A Dash of Love. At 5, The Vows We Keep. At 4 is Appetite for Love. At 3 is Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing. At number 2 is Darrow and Darrow number 3, Body of Evidence. And being offered up at number 1 by Yumi is a movie that we have already heard. It is Dying for Chocolate, A Curious Caterer, which was played at number 2. And Yumi has pulled a Lady Panda because she feels strongly, I'm sure, that this needs to be at number 1. So, Dying for Chocolate. Just a quick reminder, it's 2022, Nikki DeLoach, Andrew Walker, Antonio plays Brad Bowman, and it's the first movie in the Dying for Chocolate mystery series. Okay, Yumi, tell us why this had to be number 1 instead of number 2.
I, again, am a sucker for the Hallmark movies and mysteries. And the fact that there's a brief moment in time when they think he might be a bad guy, I think is great, right? He always gets to play the really nice, everyone loves him, everyone trusts him person. And I thought it was really nice little twist to make him like potentially a murder suspect. And I liked that Nikki DeLoach's character asked him out to dinner, right? I liked that I agree with Nicole, like everything Nicole said, I agreed with. And I just wish that they had kept him in there as the third person in a triangle, and maybe someday they will, because I think it makes it more interesting, that storyline as a continuing series. I felt really strongly that because this was a different role for him and a murder mystery and all of it, like a much more grown-up sort of murder mystery, I just thought this is we want to kind of push him forward into different things and being in more movies. And and some of the other movies I just can't stomach. So I was like, okay, I like this one the best. So that's my reasoning.
Well said for justifying that this is going to be number 1, unless Nicole, you're first up in the veto order. You still have a veto.
I won't
What are you
veto
gonna
it,
do?
but can I go back and veto my number 2? I've changed my mind on my number 2 now. No, I will stick with I like the Bowman twins, so we will leave this at number one. I didn't think that's what she was going to choose, or I would have chose a different number two, but we'll go with it.
We will go with it. Famous last words. Are you sure? Last chance. I feel like an auctioneer. Going once, going twice, going forward. Okay. Well, congratulations, everybody. You have completed the list.
There is a very obvious number one that's supposed to be on this list. Boo! Boo, 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 boo! Both of you, boo! I mean, I love you, but boo!
What do you think?
What do you
Number
think it is?
Number one.
The other evergreen tidings of joy, when they when the two of them first get together, there's like chemistry, just
I
like
would have played that
explodes off the
too if I knew
TV.
she was doing that for them.
when they kiss for the first time, she's like, I gotta go, and he goes, now.
Before I read the top 10 list again, as promised, we have a very special guest joining us. I think Antonio is here. Yay!
Hey.
Hey everybody,
Hello.
Hey,
what's
Antonio,
up?
they did such a good job. I'm going to read the top 10 list again before we officially
yeah.
welcome you and get your thoughts,
Sure.
because
You did a
Amazing.
great job.
it was Jessica, you're leaving the game with a veto override for your next match. Nicole, you were drafter B. You had more picks than anybody else, and you didn't use your one veto. So the next time you play, you'll be coming in with a veto in your pocket. And Yumi, you were drafter A. You had 2 vetoes.
Yep.
You got real sly towards the end. It's always a battle in the last 3, where you were very passionate about, no, I cannot accept this movie at number 2. It has to be number 1. So you have one veto left. You have the bonus veto left. So here's the official 10 best definitive list of Antonio Cayonne Hallmark movies as drafted by Jessica, Nicole, and Yumi. Here we go. With Antonio sitting in, ready to react. At number 10, A Taste of Summer. At 9, Matching Hearts. At 8, Darrow and Darrow. It's the number 2 movie in the series, In the Key of Murder. At 7, Darrow and Darrow, the pilot episode from 2017. At 6, Dash of Love. At 5, The Vows We Keep. At 4, Appetite for Love. At 3, Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing. At 2, Darrow and Darrow number 3, Body of Evidence. And the number 1 movie in the Antonio Cayonne Hallmark Movie Drafts edition is Dying for Chocolate, A Curious Caterer. Well, I let the look on Antonio's. Antonio, what do you think of this list? What's your reaction?
That's wild. I mean, listening to it, some of them I was like, which one was that again? Because sometimes titles change from what you see on the script. I was surprised that Curious Caterer was number 1. That's wild.
Well, Nicole played it at number 2, and
Yeah.
Yumi, whom you've met in your restaurants,
Yeah,
Yumi just wanted, she said, over my dead body, it's number 2. It's
bump it up. Nice.
yeah. Do
I
you
love
have a
it.
favorite? Do you have a favorite of the ones that you've done?
Yeah, but I think my favorites are for different reasons. They're not always from a watching point of view.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, A Dash of Love was my first, and I think it's still probably my favorite on-set experience. It was the first time I was in this crazy world, and I was pretty lucky. I was sitting next to Taylor and Andrew and Marcus, and between the 3 of them, getting ushered into the world, watching them operate was really exciting. Also, because my character was on the outskirts, I really had license to just kind of be myself. And it's one of the movies that I think I still remember. Towards the end of the movie, there's this bit where I have to explain a salad to Taylor, and Like nothing could be closer to who I am than how I decided to explain it. One of the other places that a very real version of me shows up is in A Taste of Summer, when I reveal that I brought home pizza, and I do this like little pizza dance, which is, again, it's very much in my personality to do that. And then what's another favorite? This doesn't actually fall into what is the name of the movie? A favorite necessarily, but I've gotten to work with Brendan twice, both on Chesapeake and what's the name of the movie again?
Dash of Love.
Dash of
The other
Love.
one's Appetite for Love.
Oh, the other one's Appetite for Love. See, this is why it gets confusing. Appetite for Love is the first one. Dash of Love is the one with Brendan Penny. And I really enjoyed that on-set experience also. That was a super fun one. Also because we got to play basketball in our like matching basketball outfits. And to me, nothing could be funnier. Like I laugh about it to this day.
Yumi was questioning whether you were actually wearing basketball shoes or not. Can you reveal the answer to that?
We were not wearing basketball shoes that you would actually play basketball in. Like they were not nice shoes, but we were wearing something like runners in gym-ish. But we certainly weren't rocking like Nike Air Force Ones or anything like that. It was nothing about what we were wearing screamed these two have ever played basketball before.
It's okay. Do you guys have any questions or thoughts you want to share with Antonio?
I'd like to say that I actually wrote down in my notes for Appetite for Love, super veggie explosion, which is how you explain salad, and because it made me laugh so much.
Yeah,
like that is so exactly funny. How to describe a salad.
yeah. And it is very me. Like I remember reading it and sort of asking, I think the director was David, if I was allowed to kind of like make fun of the moment. He was like, yeah, let's go. Why not? So it just makes it more fun.
Yumi sent me photos that I'm going to post on the Instagram of the food from your restaurants.
Yeah.
That just looked amazing. Absolutely amazing. How much input do you have to creating those menus?
Zero. That's not true. I do a lot of the eating. I don't do a lot of the cooking. I don't do any of the cooking. So the restaurant group, we're pretty lucky. Like one of our three partners is a chef, and that's Sean Reeve, and he's a genius. Like he's truly pretty spectacular at what he does. In the time since we opened the first one, like we've been doing this for like 8 years now. Each restaurant has its own chef de cuisine. And so oftentimes they'll put up dishes, and Sean, he might have done the first draft with them or even the second draft, but we will always sit down and eat it and sort of give our feedback. And we all have very different perspectives. And so my perspective does get taken into account because my perspective has a lot to do with the guest experience. How does it eat? How does it present itself? What are people going to think? How does it compete with something else on the menu? All those sort of factors. And then every so often I come up with this really genius, cool idea and I pitch it and everyone declines it. And they say, no, we're not going to make that. So I don't have a lot of input that way.
Do you cook at home? Who takes the lead? You or your wife, or do you both sort of share it, or?
We are never home at the same time. So we're almost never. But yeah, I do a lot of at-home cooking. And I just kind of have like things that I like to do. Every Wednesday I make pizza dough, and then I make pizza with the boys. That's really exciting. And I spend a lot of time like trying to figure out how to make better and better pasta. And this year I became, as Tracy knows, obsessed with my my rice cooker and my air fryer. And so both of those are on heavy rotation. In different ways. In the summer, I've noticed in the summer that I'm less inclined to use my air fryer. I also just inherited a little charcoal barbecue, and so I'm actually out of town right now in a place called Parksville, and with me I brought like a 4-week dry aged strip loin that I've got to go clean down and cut up and figure out how to cook. So that's really exciting.
That sounds amazing. I love my rice cooker to death. That was the one I showed you in the lunch. I would carry it as a purse if it wasn't beside my husband. So pry it out of my cold dead hands. I said at the top of the show that we are super excited because we are going to see you at Bramblecfest this year, right? You firmed up your plans, you cleared your schedule.
It's happening.
It's
Yeah,
happening.
it's great.
Yeah.
I know I didn't. I'm anywhere Bran asks me to be, I'm gonna say yes. I spend a lot of time obviously chatting with Bran, and that's great. And getting to be somewhere with Bran and Dan and like all of the double deckers and all the love. I mean, I'm not passing that up. That's amazing.
Well, I know that Erinbeth and I are super excited because we haven't met you in person yet. So
Yeah.
we're thrilled, right?
I'll be there.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead, Jess.
So, okay, so one of the things we kind of joke around a lot in our group is like when Hallmark movies make a thing about a particular industry and like one of us will be in that industry, we're like, yeah, that's not how that's done. You owning restaurants and you having been in several restaurant centered Hallmark movies, what's one thing, if anything, that they do right, the Hallmark does right about ownership, if anything, and what's the thing that they do wrong that like gets the most under your skin?
I'll do that one first. Table settings every single time. It doesn't matter. It happened on Curious Caterer. It happened in Appetite for Love. It happened in Dash of Love. Like there was one of them, I can't remember which one, but I got there early and they were setting up sort of the dining room shot, and I just walked around the dining room and I redid it. And then the props person came and pretty much yelled at me. And then I was like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong. And I sort of like, I was talking them through and they were like, this is how we want it. It was just like a big thing, but it makes me crazy. Also because it's such a layup. Like you can research it. So that does make me crazy. One of the things they do right, and each production is different, but on movies where food goes out to the table, and whether people consume it or not, but it kind of like passes through the shot, you have food designers, somebody who's in the back who's like making the plates beautiful. And although they don't get it right all the time, there have been a number. Taste of Summer was one of them where I thought they got it really right, where the things that were dropping down were composed the way a chef would conceive of them. It wasn't just like a pedestrian putting things on a plate, the way any of us would plate at home. Because there's a difference. Like there's an art to how you plate at a restaurant versus how you plate at your house. You throw it on the plate and you're like, okay, eat it. It's gonna taste good. It's a meal. No one's taking pictures of it. But restaurants more and more are driven towards social media, Instagram. There's an experience that is meant to occur from the item getting dropped down, and height plays into that, and depth of color plays into that, and how does the color palette work against the plate and all that sort of stuff. So I'm always really stoked when a production gets that, sort of like takes that into account.
Presentation is everything. You eat with your eyes first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually in my Facebook, my personal Facebook, it came up in my memories that 11 years ago today, I posted this salad that I had done with some nectarines and some grapes and some lettuces from the garden and some blue cheese and everything else.
Oh yeah.
And that's virtually the salad that I made 2 nights ago. So I wrote, even if you evolve as a human, in 10 or 11 years, Facebook is here to remind you that your socials haven't changed at all. It's just food. It's always food and flowers. Yeah.
Can you have been on both romantic Hallmark movies and the mysteries, which not every actor gets to do? A lot of them are in one or the other. What is the difference on a Hallmark, like when you get in there and you get to the set, between being, hey, this is romance, and hey, someone has died?
And it's romance.
I'm like, Lifetime movie, that may be the same thing, but in Hollywood it's not.
No, it's very there's a distinct difference between the two. What is the difference? I don't know, because a lot of the people who are involved in the movies, they know the genre, and so they kind of approach it the same way or in similar ways. But so like on set activity, I don't think there's much of a difference. Like how do I say this? The people who book Hallmark movies are just kind of like salt of the earth, great people. And so on set is fun no matter which one you're in. Also because although Hallmark has started to seemingly started to move in direction where the thing that happens in a mystery is getting more and more grim, or at least there's the door is open for it to be a real, the first time that we did something that had a murder in it, it's off camera and you kind of hear about it and you never see a body, and you like it's all just discussed, and so there doesn't feel like there's a big weight around it in the movie anyways, and to some extent I think at least the directors that I worked with, they didn't really want that originally. It was like, no, let's not make too big of a deal about the fact that somebody was just killed. Whereas like in Curious Caterer, like there was a little bit more gravitas to that moment when she's been poisoned and whatnot. But I would just kind of say like the rom-coms versus the mysteries, in my experience, the mysteries tend to be like multiplayer versus the rom-coms are like 2 or 3 of you. And so there's a different intimacy that happens while you're shooting, where it's just like the A story, 2 leads and then like the best friend chit-chatting and having little bantery moments, versus a full bullpen like we had in Darrow and Darrow, or like the dinner party scene style of Curious Caterer, where like all the suspects are there's like a different energy that happens when you have that many actors kind of like vamping. It becomes very fun, but it also becomes very like focus drawing, like even you in the scene, you're quite alive because you're paying attention to what's happening like three setups over from you. Like if you kind of look over, like there was just to give a real life example, there was a moment where like JC in the first one was talking with somebody in a setup, and she was quite far from us, but there's such silence on set that you can kind of hear what everyone's doing, and then once the scene started, it still kind of draws your attention, and so it looks very alive. It looks the way it does if you were to look at a wide shot of people in real life, where like you and I might be in a conversation, but something quickly shiny objects you, and you kind of glance off and you pay attention and you come back, and it creates this air of suspicion that isn't really there, but it kind of appears that way. Whereas in the rom-coms, there's an intimacy where like the 2 of you or the 3 of you who are in the scene are always actually just focused on each other. There's not much more to draw your attention, and I think that the read on that when you end up watching it is, and again, we read so much into that, the way people are when you're in a scene where there's intimacy. Instead of your eyes darting off to something way in the distance, it might dart down to the person's necklace or to an earring or to like the way hair moves all of a sudden, and from a viewer you're like, oh my gosh, they like each other. So it just creates a different like reaction, I think, from the audience.
Is that sort of what it was like with The Vows We Keep when you were working with Fiona?
Yeah, very much so. And like she and I were just always in the scenes together with like not much else happening. Like the things that we were discussing were not romance focused, which was super tricky. It just was. Like there's no way to say that differently. It was like a script where on paper there was nothing to prove that these 2 were necessarily going to fall for each other or even actively falling for each other. But what it did allow is this space in a scene to just take the other person in and trust that the camera can catch those little moments that the 2 of you are actually having. And so that was a lot of it. Like I remember there was a scene where her family has shown up to help put up these like lights or something in an outdoor sort of like gardenscape, and she and I pass each other, and I don't know how many versions of it we shot, but the one that they captured again was very intimate. Like there was something that happened between these 2 people that didn't even have any context. You were sort of like, why? That was really flirtatious, but it came out of she and I getting to have a private moment in public.
Yeah, absolutely.
As real people. Yeah.
As real people. Yeah. Would you ever want to play a villain? We were kind of talking about that earlier, because you're always described as and both in person and on the screen, it's charming and thoughtful and kind, generous. Do you ever just want to unleash and be a bad guy?
I would love to play a villain. In fact, like I mean, I have two sides of answers to that. I think that the best villains are the nice guys. Like especially in this
Yep.
world that we live in, like the more someone can seduce you to trust them, the more somebody can draw you into the fold, the more somebody can blur the line actually between what is good and what is bad. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just think you would be a really terrifying villain. You'd be really good at being a terrifying villain. It's just you have
Yeah.
one moment, one line in the Curious Caterer where you're just like, it's taken care of. I'm like, oh man, if you
You're
replace
like,
the villain,
"Did
I'm
he
not gonna
do
be able
it?"
to sleep at night. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really and you know like and I remember that line. I remember choosing to think of it a certain way, understanding that that could be misconstrued, especially because in a movie like that, everybody is a villain, so we have to believe that that person could be a suspect for some reason. But yeah, like in that regard, I would love to play a villain that you would never suspect would be the one who does it because you like him. I think that the scariest villains are the ones that you end up rooting for, and that when they go down for whatever it is that they did, it messes you up because you realize, oh, you would have got too, like you would have fallen for it.
Yeah.
That's one side, and then there is another side that I would love to play a villain that's like way outside of my comfort zone, but yeah, there's like another side to me that is that like, you know, at Bramblefest I would tell stories about like New Deal and like very fast talking, very like not manipulative but sort of like negotiating. There's a piece of me that kind of operates in this strange kind of business. I mean, I run businesses, right? So I operate in this kind of like strange business world where people are not always the center of what you're talking about. You're often talking about things, products and supplies and stuff like that. And so being able to apply that sort of logic to people creates a callousness. And I kind of delight in that in a weird way. Like when I used to do a lot of Shakespeare, that's how a lot of the Shakespearean villains are written. They have this callousness to them, but they're still very personable. Like one of my favorite characters is Aaron in Titus Andronicus, who is easily, like, people think that Iago from Othello is the worst villain that Shakespeare ever wrote, but it's not. It's Aaron. When Aaron goes down for his crimes of which include feeding the children of his enemy to his enemy, among other things, he gets buried up to his neck, and he delivers this like incredible monologue where he is, I mean, he's obviously going to die, and they're going to kill him by burying him alive, but forcing him to starve to death. And he delivers this incredible monologue that is all about the things that he wish he could have done, the evils that he wish he could have enacted. And I don't know, there's something really like exciting about that, again, because it's a side of human nature that in the real world we don't explore. We just like, we don't really gravitate to social construct. You don't gravitate towards darkness. And so if somebody can write that in a way that's like engaging and thrilling, my goodness, I would love to dig into that and see what it takes for your psyche to like wrap around that and make it a reality.
Yeah, I'd watch that. I would watch
Might not be in
that.
Hallmark, though.
Heartbeat. Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't get to talk about Evergreen 3 today, and you told me that you took glass blowing lessons. Tell me a little bit about that.
Glass blowing lessons was amazing. So Rukia and I, we wanted to make sure that we didn't look foolish. That was like a real shared value between the two of us. We wanted to make sure that if we were going to be doing it, we were we at the very least, I looked like I knew what I was doing, and I looked like I could actually instruct her, because that's what the scene required. And luckily, before we even really raised our hands to say anything, the director let us know that they had already booked us, or the producer had let us know that they had already booked us space at a local glass blowing studio where we would be filming it. So not only did we get to learn, but we also got to kind of like lightly choreograph a little bit of business based on a lot of things. I mean, I don't know if anyone here or listening has done glass blowing, but you can imagine it's incredibly hot. It's incredibly hot, and you stand quite close to, I don't remember the name, the technical term for the thing where the fire is in, and but you basically like have this long metal rod that has a hole all the way through it, and you kind of dip it into this glass, and you're kind of spinning it, rolling it, spinning it, rolling it, before you remove it from this fire. But you're only like 2 feet from it. It's so hot. You're so uncomfortable. Chance of blacking out 10 out of 10. Like you're gonna pass out at some point. And so we needed to be able to understand how close you could get, what kind of conversation you can have with heat in your face like that. What kind of physicality, what kind of physical motions make sense to somebody who lives in that world, just so that for the two of us, we could trust that if somebody was watching this who was a glassblower, they would look at it and they would say, yeah, that checks out. Now, at the end of it, I don't know that we were experts at it, but the two people who were teaching us were exceptional at it. I follow both of them on Instagram. They make some incredible art at this point, and both of them, I think one of them had just come back from studying, and one of them was heading to study with like there's one master glassblower in the world apparently named Lino Tagli something. And I also checked out his Instagram, and he makes pieces like the size of your living room. He makes huge pieces, and it takes like 7, 8, 9, 10 people all to assist him. So, we didn't get to that level, but I was able to make a paperweight.
I just want to be clear about the fact that they send you to glass blowing lessons, but they won't set a table right.
Yeah, weird, right? And I think that has to do with just like it's departments, right? So the producers sent us to glass blowing because that scene was really pivotal for them.
It was a
right?
great scene.
Yeah, like they really had an idea, I think, of what the scene could be, and Rukia and I did too. As soon as we read it, we were like, "Ooh, this is like Ghost," and so there was like,
Only
again,
hotter, literally.
it was literally
hotter.
hotter. I always talk in intimacy, like it was a scene that intimacy was just baked into, and quite frankly, throughout Christmas and Evergreen, like both 3 and 4, Rukia and I just kept getting these scenes where there was intimacy just like baked right into it, right? Like the two of us having just broken up, sitting next to each other at the piano, the two of us with a little bit of distance between each other at the train station in a breakup. Like, yeah, it was Zach Hugg, the writer, obviously knew what he was trying to create, and he spelled it out loud and clear, and we took the ball and ran with it. But when it comes to the table setting, like I said, it's departments. So I anticipate that it's something that accidentally gets taken for granted, and then there's not anybody like the level of expertise isn't there. You know what I mean? So like the person who set the room is the person who's supposed to know. And on sets, there's like, I don't know, there's like weird rules and stuff, but you're not allowed to go to another department and tell them that they're wrong, as far as I understand. It just doesn't happen very often. And so I think like they set the room and everyone assumes that it's right, and that's that, and it kind of moves forward, unless it's a really like, I don't know, generous spirited set or something where somebody can come in and be like, oh no, this is my background, and that didn't happen when I was there.
Got it.
Yeah. Or like, here's another one that bothers me, is like you can tell a lot about the level of the restaurant that you're at based on 2 things: the linen that they use on the tables and the way in which they set the table within the linen. So oftentimes, if you get cutlery in paper napkins, you're looking at low end. It's just, and it's just like, it makes sense. It's a money thing, right? Like paper napkins don't cost anything, or not that they don't cost anything, but they cost very little. Linens require you to have a linen service, and so you're getting laundry, and linens are one of the few things that you don't make money back on a restaurant, right? So it's something, it's a thing that you do for free, essentially. There's no recoup. And so when I end up seeing this on camera, and I'm like, oh, like, and furthermore, if the linens are used to roll up the cutlery, often you're looking at like casual fare fast, like a bistro or something that has an outdoor component to it. And so there's all those like little like things that signal things for me that when I watch, I'm like, that's wrong. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that and then charge like a crazy amount for a steak. You would do that and then have like a backyard burger. Anyways, weird digression.
Yeah, so napkins and the table setup has to match the food and the level and the quality of food and the service, right?
Yeah.
Tracy, any thoughts from you for Antonio?
I'm sorry, the big panel just got out, so it's really loud in here. Oh no, I'm just I'm just happy you're here. Thanks, Antonio, for being here.
Always my pleasure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just love listening to you talk. I was like, Nicole, he told you so many like inside things about the movies, which I appreciated. That we got to hear about like the dogs, and was that in
Matching Hearts.
Matching Hearts.
Matching Hearts, yeah, the dogs and Matching Hearts, and which I'm a sucker for anything with dogs in it. So love the dogs.
Yeah, and I think she
Why
said
does-
that you were allergic, right? Is that
You're
right?
allergic?
Oh, I'm crazy allergic. I'm like, yeah, I'm like next level. There was early days I did iZombie, and I was literally just like a guy who gets like drugged and falls and dies. And the director wanted the dog to lick my neck to try and wake me up, like it was my dog. And the director was not kind with me, to be perfectly honest, and wasn't communicating very well. And so like they didn't even take into account the fact that I might be allergic. But it was like a really big moment for me where I was like, I need to tell them that my allergy is such that this ends my night. Like I can't come back from this. Anyways, so that didn't happen on Matching Hearts. On Matching Hearts, it was the opposite. Everyone was quite lovely, and I was very lucky to be with Ryan, because Ryan is like, you could not give that man enough dogs. He loves animals. He is like the sweetest, softest soul. You just like dump all the animals on him, and he's like, I got this. And so he would look after like all 6 or 7 of them in between takes.
Interesting.
So do you have any pets? I mean, if you don't have clearly not a dog, but do you have
No.
cats, fish?
I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
That'll keep you busy.
those are my pets. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't have any animals.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. We are so glad to have you join us. We can't wait to see you in person in
Yeah, I'm excited.
just about a month. I know I'm going to be there on July 12th is when I fly down. I think you do too. I know Jessica does, Erinbeth does, Tracy's not far behind. Nicole will be there within that area too, and everything will kick off in that Greenville. So I can't wait
that Greenville.
to see you. We're all going to give you big hugs.
I'm
and
stoked for that.
Stoked for that. We're going to ask you to do your spoken word recitation again.
Oh my gosh.
You missed it.
You panic attack number 2. I can't promise I'll do that again, but we'll see. We'll see.
Panic attack number 2, but this was great. All right, one more time for the final time. Here is the definitive list of the 10 best Hallmark movies featuring Antonio Cayonne. Number 10, A Taste of Summer. At 9, Matching Hearts. At 8, Darrow and Darrow, In the Key of Murder. That's film number 2 in the series. At 7, Darrow and Darrow number 1. That's the pilot episode from 2017. At 6 is A Dash of Love. At 5, The Vows We Keep. At 4, Appetite for Love. At 3, Christmas in Evergreen, Bells Are Ringing. At 2, Darrow and Darrow number 3. That's Body of Evidence. And number 1 is Dying for Chocolate, A Curious Caterer, as drafted by Jessica, Nicole, and Yumi. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's all say bye.
Thank you for putting
Thank
so much
you.
care and attention into drafting that.
It was so much fun.
That's a
It
real
was so
kindness.
much-
I love it.
It was so much fun. Thanks, you guys. See you really
Best homework
soon.
ever.
Bye.
Hallmark Movie Drafts is produced by me, Lynn Austin, with additional creative and research support from Erinbeth Cermak and Catherine Baca. This show would not be possible without the dedicated and talented Deck the Hallmark podcast Double Deckers, who share their passionate opinions on these Hallmark movies that we love, or maybe not love, so much. Intro and outro music is courtesy of Amada Zabana. If you love this pod, please leave a 5-star review. It helps other Hallmark movie fans to find us and join in on the shenanigans. Be sure to follow the show at Hallmark Movie Drafts on Instagram.